Hey, it's your girl, Pastor Evangelist. Of course, I'm formerly Johnson, and we are one sister to another with the show with information, inspiration, and limitless God affirmations. But guess what? I'm not by myself. I got, y'all not gonna believe how we did this thing. I got my executive producer in the hot seat today. Not really, she gonna have me in the hot seat, but I've got my executive producer in the hot seat today. Hey, Tamara. Hey, Tamara. Hey, Tamara. Don't worry, she'll be back. Of course, we're going to be talking to our, of course, Gone Girls today about what? That right there. We just dropped our book. We just dropped one of the hottest projects, Gone Girl Volume 2. You don't know my story. The premise of the book is I don't look like what I've grown through, going through some stuff. Hey, I don't look like what I've grown through. But listen at this. I don't know what just happened, but we want to introduce none other than my girl, my executive producer is in the hot seat today with me, y'all. Of course, and y'all, she might have bailed, and then she might be coming back. But anyway, Tamara Woodard is in the room with me today. She is hanging out with me today, and she's going to help me to co-host the show today. And I'm going to, while we're waiting on her to come on, I want to make sure that you all know how to get on with us and make sure you're chiming in. So we're on One Sister to Another Media 33. We're out there on YouTube. We're also on Facebook Live on the Angela L. Johnson page. We're out there on One Sister to Another Internet Radio. And so I'm letting y'all know right now, One Sister to Another Facebook, Angela L. Johnson, One Sister to Another. Of course, on Instagram, we're out there on One Sister to Another Media 33 on, of course, YouTube. And y'all, she back. Now, look, let me tell y'all something, okay? If y'all see her bail, somebody go get the police, because I'm going to tell y'all something. She don't really want, but she here. Tomorrow.
Yeah. Hello, you guys. How is everybody out there in Facebook world, YouTube land, everywhere? Hello, guys. I apologize. I'm having a little technical difficulties even after all of the stuff that we just went over. So hello to everybody out there. I'm excited to be here. Miss Angela, thank you for the opportunity, even though, yes, I feel like I'm in the hot seat because, you know, I work behind the scenes, but anything for you, my dear.
But you know what? You're pretty. So look, so we want to, of course, Tamara, thank you so much for even agreeing to taking on the helms of course, doing the exclusive on this project. Do y'all hear me? You're going to see me do this a whole lot. And thank you so much to our engineer tonight, which is also one of our youth hosts, none other than Trailer Law. We got Big J, who's back there somewhere in Jakari. And we just love the fact that we've got all this support. Y'all know what? I could have never, and it's not that one is more important than the other, but I believe in doing things decent and in order. I could have never brought this thing to light, brought it into fruition, except there be a young woman out there who is the author of Church Girl 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. She is also the author of Safe Sex. She's the author of Pretty for a Dark-Skinned Girl. She's a playwright. She is of course, the publisher. She's the CEO of Chocolate Chip Company, and she happens to be the daughter of one of my best friends, Word for the World, Apostle Joseph and Pastor Trina Davis. Y'all help me to welcome, give a one sister to another welcome to none other than Sheridan S. Davis, who is also I call her, look, the doggone podcast host. She's the Sheridan. I'm trying to get it together right now. She is the doggone podcaster to the stars. That's what I call you. Hey, Sheridan.
Hey, Sherry.
Good girl, Rich Life.
Hello, how are
Good
y'all?
girl, Rich Life.
Good.
Good girl, Rich Life. Listen
Hey,
at this.
before you speak, Sheridan, I have got to say this, and I don't mean to cut you off, Miss Angela, but I have got to say this. So I read the book from beginning to end. I have the manuscript. I don't have a physical book. Thank you so much, because you said something in your forward that I would just like to read really quick that just kind of stuck out to me.
Please do.
And again, ladies, it's a privilege to even have the opportunity to interview you ladies with this book, Gone Girl Volume 2. You don't know my story. But Miss Sheridan Davis, you write in your forward in the book, You say, according to the dictionary, a story is an account of past events in someone's life or in the evolution of something.
Mhm.
Everyone has one, and everyone seems to have an opinion about someone else's. To me, that stands out so much because we all have a story, and always somebody has an opinion of your story, of how you should have done it, how you could have did it better. Why did you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? Whether it's your mom, whether it's a sister, a sibling, a friend, but you have to walk a mile in my shoes to understand my story. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Miss Davis.
Well, firstly, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me to publish this book. Um, as it relates to other people and our stories, firstly, if you continue to read the foreword, you will see that there are several components to a story. And so, number one, people will think that they know your story, but you don't. You might just know some characters, but you don't know my full story. You might know a little bit of the plot, but you don't know the story. You might know a bit of the setting, but you don't know my story. And so, the first thing that I think it's important for us just as human beings is to number one, give people grace to live their life, because number two, you don't know all of what you think you know. So if you cannot be compassionate, just be quiet. That's that is my that's my thing. That's my motto.
Agreed. Agreed.
Tell us this, Sheridan. Tell us this. I finish all of this up, so I'll end before I begin by saying you're younger than I am, but I reached out to you on purpose to help me bring this book to fruition. And one of the things I remember more than anything else is you would not let go of. We didn't hold hands like this, and I call her my real niece, y'all, for a reason. But you wouldn't let go my hand. I don't know if you even knew. Did you know that there was nights I felt like I am not going to finish this book. I don't want to finish this book. I don't think I can finish this book. I'm tired already. And you kept pushing us. Why do you believe it was important to the world that we finish this? Me as the executive or the curator of the book, I kind of held your hand as you held my hand, and I really held your hand. You did the cover to this book, the whole night, just listening to what I wanted to convey. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, firstly, when I sign up for something, baby, if I'm gonna put my name on it, or my logo on it, then I don't want to see it come out shabby. Okay. I believe in my daddy has always taught us, baby, all you wearing my name, all you got is my name. So I want to make sure that when my name is on something, that it is stellar. So that's number one. Number two, I don't think everybody knows how much it takes to do, number one, a book in general, and number two, an anthology. You are dealing with multiple people, multiple personalities. We are dealing with multiple deadlines. And we have to, as a person if you're going to do an anthology, that means you must be a manager. And so if you're not in the literary world, then it could be easy to, I don't want to say slip up, right, with things. So if you're not technically an author outside of the anthology, right, you don't always know what it takes to get the job done. So it is my job as publisher and as someone who agreed and signed on for the project to say, hey, the deadline was Thursday, come on. You know what I'm saying? Or hey, we might want to add a little more of this. You wanted to know about the cover. I'm very intentional when I listen to people. I think that's one of the gifts God has given me, to just be a listening ear and to read everybody. I read every story in the book. Obviously, I had to. But actually I didn't have to. Let's be clear. I got a team, so I want to shout out my team. Thank you guys so much for being an amazing part and helping to get this done. But I did actually read every story in here, and I just wanted to come up with a cover that um, that expressed womanhood in multiple shades and in multiple ways. So it was important. Every woman telling her story in this book is Black, and I think that should be celebrated. Every woman has different ages, different experiences, whether it's breaking up a marriage, whether it's have experience in loss, whatever it is, they have different experiences. And I think that if we all could just look and read these stories or look at their cover, number one is pink, just to express femininity, and number two is multiple shades, just to express that somebody in this story is going to remind you of yourself. So that's that.
And of course, y'all, she's extremely busy. That's like she is a blogger. She has Good Girl Rich Life. She's we got all her information here, so of course we're gonna hook y'all up. Sheridan, thank you so much for coming by to us your portion or what part you played in making sure that, of course, our book Gone Girl Volume 2, an anthology for and by amazing women. Only you could have thought of this kind of cover, listening to what I shared with you. The vision was, I appreciate you so much. Sheridan, can you let them know how they can get in contact with you out there on your social medias?
Absolutely. So first, let me again say thank you again for having me on. And I want to thank all the ladies who are a part. If this is not your natural wheelhouse, right? If this is not something that you naturally do, it took a little extra something for you to write what you wrote. It took extra something, all the emotions that you had to feel, everything that you had to do in order to get it done. We just want to thank you for that. And thank you for trusting me to get it done, to help you get it done. So that's number one. Number two, my social medias, you can find me at Sheridan S. Davis on Facebook, Instagram, baby, TikTok's gonna go. Rest in peace. But I'm on there for the time being. I'm also on YouTube at Sheridan S. Davis. And if you want your book published, you can just find my name, SheridanSDavis.com, hit that publishing link and all the information right there. So thank you guys for having me again.
Thank you,
Sheridan. I love you. Thank you for.
I'll be watching on Facebook.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Listen, so we got to give shouts out to our own chocolate chip and company CEO, Sheridan S. Davis. But y'all, guess what we get ready to do? We getting ready to introduce none other than part of the 15 that it took to bring this thing into fruition. I'm telling y'all, when you are a curator, when you're the one with the vision, sometimes you gotta sit and listen to God. Listen at this. Her name is Diane Williams, and I call her our woman of faith who kept us moving by way of prayer. Come on, bring Diane on. Bring Diane on. And then, of course, she is a first lady, y'all. She's a first lady. Her name is, I call her Serena because she's one of my, what is she? She's one of my gal pals. She's my bestie. Lady Serena Murphy is coming up in the building right about now. So she, of course, she's a little firehouse too. She kind of kept us moving. You know, she never let us sit. And y'all know how it is. Come on, when you're dealing with multiple people, multiple characteristics, then you got that. Lady Serena Williams is her name. Come on, bring her in. She's of course, the wife of a pastor, Serena. And then, of course, we've got my girl from Benton Harbor, Richelle Adams. I thought Richelle had wrote before because her story was just so prudent and so amazing. Richelle Adams is here from Benton Harbor. Then y'all watch this. We got, I think their sister-in-law, Evangelist Lesean Wallace, and also Bobbie Wallace. Y'all don't know this, but Bobbie didn't even want to write with me the first time. Gone Girl 31 Day Massive Devotional. Y'all will hear about that in just a minute. But look, y'all don't know this, but we got some millionaires amongst this group. She is a realtor to the world. girl out of Atlanta, Georgia. She don't even live here. She hooked up with me because I told her, you got to do it, Jen. Jennifer Houston is in the house. She in here. Listen. And then, of course, Ebony, I met Ebony dancing, praising, worshiping God. Looked at her and say, Ebony, I believe you're supposed to be writing with me. And she steps onto the scene and she did not disappoint. Ebony Stigall, she in the room. Come on, synonymous to success right there. Y'all, I've got, of course, I think that's it. I think we got them all in the room. Come on, what we gonna do? Let's do it all together. What? Listen at this. And so y'all remember what I said about my executive producer. We got her in the hot seat tonight. Guess what she gets to do? She gets to bring out of us all that we believe, or every reason we believe we did right. Let me tell y'all this first, coming out of the stall. I always tell y'all this because this is one of those unorthodox shows. I believe every woman who wrote should have wrote. Come on, somebody say amen to that. I believe every woman who did right should have wrote, right? I also believe that God told me that some of us, if you didn't write, you were going to lose it. So I listened to God saying, go ahead and tell. Listen, someone said, well, some of the pictures look a little foggy. Can I tell y'all something? So when you look at it, right, you don't realize it really does give prudence to the title of the book, Gone Girl Volume 2. You don't know my story, so don't you dare get it confused. Facebook and the rest of y'all, don't get it confused about these pictures, because I promise you, we don't look like what we've grown through. I'm going to hand the mic off to my girl till she called me up again. Go ahead, Miss Tamara. You got it. She got some stuff she going to ask y'all. You on mute, baby girl.
On mute, Tamara.
Hear me? Hello? Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry. We're having a lot of technical difficulty, ladies. I'm not sure. We've never had this many people on live stream at one time before. So we're having a lot of technical difficulties. So please just bear with us. We're trying to get it done. But back to what I was saying, it is a privilege to get a chance to sit and just talk with you ladies and get into your heads for a moment to see, what your thought process was when you had to write these stories. Some of them I know are very sacred. Some of them you didn't want to write. Some things we just don't want people to know. Been there, done that. We probably all have been there, done that. That being said, I do not have a copy of the book, but I was privileged to have a copy of the manuscript. So from front to end, from forward to the end, I read every single word. With that being said, who do we have here first? Miss Diane Williams. I'm going to start with you. Since you are here.
Hello.
How are you, my dear?
I'm wonderful.
Wonderful. Again, a lot of technical difficulties. Seems like we have a little slight delay in our conversation, but we're going to go ahead with it anyway and let God do what He's going to do. So your title says this: When the Answer Hurts. What I took from yours is you speak of being angry with God. I can assure you there are many, many, many people who have had the same feelings that you have, and that we don't believe that we should tell God that we're angry or ask God why. Why did this happen to me? What's going on? Why am I enduring this? Why am I dealing with this? So if you could just give us, without telling us everything that you wrote, just give us a little snippet as to what your title came from and what was going on in your heart and your mind when you were writing.
When the opportunity, can you hear me?
I can.
When the opportunity presented itself, I was at a crossroad where I was in a lot of pain, and just trying to come out of that space, writing my thoughts gave me the chance to push the reset button, if that makes sense. So in pushing the reset button, I was able to acknowledge how I was feeling, because for a long time I didn't think I was angry at God. More or less, I felt I was disappointed.
Okay.
And in that anger, I came to acknowledge that I was more angry at myself than at him.
Gotcha. So you speak about not knowing what to pray or even how to pray. And then you talk about how prayer became a passion. So you went from one extreme of this disdain for God to loving prayer and having a passion for prayer. How did you get from A to Z?
Because I just kept at it with my mother being a pastor, and having a lot of family members that are pastors, and people always calling on you to pray, and then you having people to push you when you don't feel like praying, and it's like, well, so and so needs a prayer and they want you to pray. So in that retrospect, then I just kept reading things on prayer, and I just kept going, trying to go at it.
And so from there, you develop this love and this passion for prayer, which we all need, we all should have. But you've developed a passion for it. The same woman who wrote in her story that, hey, I was mad at God.
I have come to understand that my situation was not to hurt me, but it was a situation that I couldn't control. So he's teaching me how to live in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Miss Angela, you have any questions from Miss Diane?
I don't, but I will add to what she was saying. First of all, let me just say I am so elated and proud that you said yes, Sister Diane, because at the end of the day, tomorrow, what a lot of people don't know and they'll get to hear is that she was the one in the group who I didn't have to say, by the way, I need you to pastor that, pastor that. No, she was one in the group every single day who would have put a prayer in there. Even I believe on some days the Holy Spirit would tell her, you know, there's a little discord going on in the group, or somebody's doing too much talking, or somebody is running. She would get in there and pray tomorrow and break the back of that enemy. So I just wanted to make sure I said out loud, woman of God, that you are right where you need to be. Go ahead tomorrow. You're doing an excellent job. You asked some good questions.
Okay, like that's lady, when I tell you I've read your book, I read the stories, I have so many questions, so much I want to ask, but because we want people to buy the books, we don't want to give them the book on tonight. We just want to give them little snippets. I'm going to go to Miss Jennifer Houston. How are you, dear?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you.
Great, great, great. So, Miss Jennifer, you write pouring from an empty cup. Sweetheart, let me tell you something. As a woman, and many of us on this platform tonight, many of us in Facebook world, YouTube world, wherever you're looking, streaming from, we have probably poured from an empty cup. That being said, I took this from what I read with yours. You said, this chapter is not just my story. It is a beacon for every woman who has ever felt depleted, undervalued, or invisible. Now, I can honestly say, ladies, at some point we probably have felt, if not all of these, but at least one of these: defeated, invisible, not heard. You know, so Miss Jennifer, tell us what space you were in. What made you write this story? What made you want to tell us this version of you?
So I took it all the way back to when I first met my husband, my fabulous husband, Roderick Houston, who I know is out there. Hey, my number one, my
Hey,
number one
husband.
supporter. And I took it all the way back to when we were pursuing marriage and being engaged and going through our simple situation, you know, with trying to have children and everything. And so a lot of times I was in the space of, back then, you know, you go to church, you're supposed to be able to go to church and everybody love on you, but no, they on Mother's Day, they step over you. Oh, let me tell your mom happy Mother's Day. The people that have not had children physically really get abused, you know. And so I was coming from that place, and then I took it to another place. So without telling the whole story, I started all the way back then, and I'm excited. My husband and I have 26 years of joyful marriage, and we're excited. And so I just wanted to share that story because I know there's other women that are out there. You don't hear a lot of people who have women groups for people who didn't bear children, or, who don't have children. But I know that I'm a better mom to some people who have had children, because I have nieces and nephews and friends' children. And so
Absolutely.
I had to encourage myself. Okay, I wish I could sing. I
Absolutely.
sing that song.
You and me both. But I love that. I took so many little jewels from your story as well. I'm just going to read another one. You say, stay steadfast in your commitment to your spiritual principles, and remember that every challenge is an opportunity to reaffirm your faith.
Wow. Woo, the pandemic. Yes, that's what really caused me to get closer to the Lord. I love the Lord with all my heart, but losing over 250 people during the pandemic, when you come from a large family, it is devastating. And my husband, thank God, I slipped into depression, and I would go outside and help everybody else and pour from an empty cup, but then I would come home and lock up in a dark room. And he kicked that door open one day and he said, you are anointed to do real estate. Get up out of this dark room and go out there and do what you've been called to do. And he gave me a book. I'll never forget it. And he had me to sit there and listen to that book. And the lady talked about how she was blind. And she said one thing in this book, and I can't remember the name of it. She said she went to her mother and asked her mother, is it anything you need to tell me so that I'll know whatever has gone on that everybody has kept a secret? And I'm grateful to God. In my next book, my mom shared some things with me that I should have known about. And it's just going to be a game changer for so many people. So I encourage you all, talk to your mothers if you still have them, talk to your fathers if you still have them, and ask them that hard question. Is it something I need to know before anybody leaves here? And so that's where I came from, a place of, just wanting to make sure the whole thing was clear, because so many people wait until a parent leaves, and then people start bringing things up and saying, this is this person, this is that person.
You can't get an answer.
And you can't get an answer. But guess what? While they're here, if you still have them, ask that question.
I love that. And to all the women out there in social media world, you need to listen to Miss Houston. She said her husband came and got her. Ladies, we need a man of valor, that when we are in our darkest days, we can't pour anymore. We need somebody to come and knock down our door, pick us up, dust us off, and say, baby, it's going to be okay. So to your husband, kudos to him. Kudos to you. Blessings to you guys. And you wrote an amazing story. Guys, if you're out there in Facebook world, YouTube world, wherever you're listening to us from, we're going to give you the platforms to pick up the book. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. There is a story in there that each of us can relate to. I guarantee you. Hers was a story of infertility. So with that being said, women, for those of you who can't have children, it's not the end of the world. Look at Miss Houston here. She has had a phenomenal life. She's flourished. She loves on the people that love on her, and she has helped raise other people's children. And sometimes that's what God makes us. That's what he puts us on earth for. We don't have to necessarily be biological moms and dads, but we can still be parents and fixtures and adults and people to these children and out here in the world. So Miss Jennifer, thank you so much for your story.
So much. I appreciate that. And I just want to say to all my friends and family out there, I feel like I'm on TV. I got so many people calling my phone. So I'm going to get you all the way to purchase the book. I'm taking pre-orders, so I will be getting in touch with all my friends and family. So thank you all for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Before Jennifer goes, and we won't need anything else from Jennifer necessarily, but I do want to leave this one-liner from her chapter with everybody. And I thought this make the segue for it, and that is this. She says, I want to highlight a crucial message. Neglecting self-care doesn't enhance our ability to help others. We're gonna go on to the next person because
I
I'm
know
telling you,
that's
Jen,
right.
just I knew when her chapter was longer than anybody's. And I asked the publisher, I said, listen, we need her to write everything she needs to write. Because I don't know if she's done this before, but we need her to get in or get out of her so that other women would be blessed. Tamara, you said something earlier. You said, us as women, when we pour and we have no more, where are
Yes.
our husbands? And it's no
Yes.
dip and dig on a men of God that we're married to. And glory to God, I'm not married, but I'm gonna get married again anyway. I just thought I'd throw that in there. But I'm just saying, after we poured all that we can pour, then and I have no more, where are our brothers? How do we pray for them tomorrow? That when we go through something like this, when we're going through a challenge, like a Roderick, my brother, comes in and kicks the door in. I'm gonna yield my mic.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tamara. You on fire.
Ladies, I'm having a good time. I'm not as nervous as I thought I was going to be, maybe a little bit. But my next person up is going to be Miss Evangelist Bobbie Wallace. How you doing, my dear?
I'm great. How you doing? Thank you
I'm
for having
doing.
me.
Thank you for being here. Look, thank you for the opportunity to even, interview you guys. It is, like I said, it's been a pleasure to read this book, to read your stories, to see your stories of triumph and victory. But Miss Evangelist Wallace, you write, I am not who they think I am.
Mhm.
And your opening sentence is, everyone has an opinion of you and they have no clue. How many times, ladies, do we feel like people can tell you, do it this way, do it that way, until you had to figure out, but they've never walked a day in your shoes, never walked a mile in your shoes, don't know what your upbringing was, don't know what you had to go through to get here. So will you please, Miss Evangelist, tell us where your mind was, what your thought process was when you started to write your chapter?
Well, when I started to write this chapter for the second time, because I was in Gone Girls Volume 1,
Okay.
and I didn't want to do Volume 1 when I was asked to do it. But like I tell them, obedience is better than sacrifice.
Mm.
So and Pastor Angela say, I want you to write, just write something. I just wrote. So when I came to Volume 2, everybody had an opinion of who they thought I was because of my past.
Okay.
They never sat down and really asked me who you are. They just formed their own opinion.
As we
So
so often do.
I tell people all the time, don't read the book by its cover. Open that book up and read that book. And I tell them, if you want to read my book, ask me questions and I'm going to tell you the honest truth. So when people begin to speculate, they begin to assume, I had to put it on paper. I'm not who you think I am.
And that is the honest to God truth. So many times we said we've done something maybe in our past, as for instance, when I was in high school, I was accused of something that it never even happened, it never even took place, but yet it happened. I was accused of it, and it's a stigma, and it's like, you did it, but I didn't do it, and it's an opinion that you have because of something you heard or saw. But I'm telling you out of my mouth, it didn't happen. That's not how it took place. But people still form an opinion about you. And unfortunately, I've learned, and I'm even still learning to, hey, my favorite line, and I have a friend, Angela, that will tell you my favorite line is this: people are going to talk about you whether you're doing good or bad. So just do you, live life. People are going to have
That's
opinions,
it.
unfortunately. They are going to make opinions, unfortunately. And, they're going to create these narratives in their heads about you, about us, about anybody. And sometimes they do it because it makes them feel good. Sometimes they do it because they think they have the story. Sometimes they do it because, my cousin is your best friend. My cousin told, so they have all of these narratives about us and who they think we are. And then they run with it. And you don't get a
Yes.
chance to know me,
No.
you know. So
And
anything else, Evangelist, that you want to share with us from your story without giving away too much that you want the world to know when they get ready to purchase this book? What else do you want them to take from your chapter?
I want them to take away that, like you say, people going to form opinion, but just know who you are through Christ.
Mm,
God formed you. He made you. He made you exactly how you are supposed to be. So when people try to come up with their own opinion about you, I have a saying, mirror, mirror on the wall. They see Jesus or not at all. And that's my saying I hold on to
You
tell
need to
myself.
make that a t-shirt slogan, my dear. That is cute. Go on, girls. That needs to be y'all slogan on the back of your t-shirts and on your new mugs. That needs to be your slogan that the Evangelist Wallace came up with for you guys. I love that. Tell me one more time. Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Do they see Jesus or not at all?
Mm.
So if they looking at you, what do they see? Who do you see? First of all, not what they see, because the they say is going to be the they says. Who do you see when you look in the mirror? See, I didn't used to see what I see now. I see with new eyes now. See, when I used to look in the mirror, I didn't look in the mirror for many, many years. I was shunned from the mirror. I used to just run past the mirror because I didn't like what I saw. But now I stands in the mirror and say, girl, you got that. You are beautiful. You are wonderfully made. Girl, you're looking good today. I encourage me that way now because I always been put down and let down. But now I look in that mirror and be like, girl, you got it.
I love
because
that.
I know who I am now. I know that I am a queen. I know that God has made me the way He made me, and I am a beautiful Black queen.
I know that.
I am beautiful.
Hey, you are absolutely gorgeous and beautiful and all of the above. And it's a sad dog that don't wag its own tail, baby. And I'll be the first to tell you, I love me. Whether you love me or like me or not, I love me. And if I don't love me first, no one else will. So, Miss Wallace, Evangelist Wallace, I apologize. Thank you for that. Thank you for your words of encouragement. And mirror, mirror on the wall, do you see Jesus or not at all? I love that. Thank you so much for that. I'm keeping that slogan for myself. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
It looks like Pastor Angela is having technical difficulties as well, but we're going to keep this show right on rolling, ladies. Next up, I'm going to go to Miss Richelle Adams. Miss Richelle, how are you, my dear?
Yes, I'm good.
You're good.
Yes.
I'm flipping through my notes and getting everything going on right here. You write, it was necessary.
Yeah.
When you wrote that, first of all, the title itself is catchy. Let's start there. It was necessary because sometimes we don't think what we go through is deemed necessary, but sometimes we don't see it at that moment. But when we look back after we've gone through the storm, after we've overcome our obstacle, we look back, I'm guilty. I've said, okay, God, I get it. It was necessary. Whether it was I didn't listen, whether it was I was disobedient, whether it was I wanted it my way. I'm not going to take away from what you wrote, but I want to say this. You wrote, your chapter is, it was necessary. You write, your destiny is already settled in the heavens. That right there made me shout. I'm just going to be honest with you. That statement alone right there made my heart glad, because what you basically said was, it's already done. The end is already, your end is already settled in the heavens. Mm-hmm. That alone. And then you said this, you said, God sends warning before destruction. With that being said, my dear, I'm going to let you go ahead and expound on why it was necessary.
Everything that I've gone through from childhood, middle age, and now was necessary for my growth.
Muted.
It was necessary for my growth in Christ. I had to go through. And what happens is sometimes we don't always understand why we're going through, or God takes us through so many things. But what He's doing is He's preparing us for our destiny. He's preparing us to be that example that He's called us to be in the earth. I had to endure some of them were unnecessary heartaches because of disobedience. But then God brought me back where He took me down in the low places of my life, where I had to lose the job. I had to be on public assistance and be without a husband to help me raise my daughter. And all those things to show me that it's Him that I need to depend on and no one else.
Absolutely.
No one else. God is the source. Everything else is a resource. He is a source. And so I went through so many things, and the main part of it, where he was showing me, is the relationship with him. Relationship with God means more than anything that you could ever have.
You're right about it.
At the end of the day, it's him. It's him that we live and we move and we have our being. And I'm so thankful, because every heartache, every situation, every test, every trial has made me the woman I am today. Stay in the will of God. Stay in the will of God.
So with that being said,
Hey, Tamara, before you leave her, can y'all hear me? When I met Richelle, first of all, she's one of the shyest African American sisters I've ever seen in my life with hips. And I walked up to her, and we were at Benton Harbor, Strong Women of Faith, cancer survivors and caregivers event that we go to every single year. And I walked up to her and I said, "My God, who are you?" Because she's a fireball. I believe she probably could run, do church, do the choir, and she does all that, y'all. She sings the whole night. But I've never heard Richelle preach, but I bet you she will preach a crooked stick straight. Richelle, and to, of course, Evangelist Bobbie, I just want to say thank you to you women, trusting God in me, enabling us to be able to pull this thing off, because I believe more than ever, Tamara, based upon even how you are engaging them tonight, I believe it was so important that every single woman on this platform tonight, Jennifer, all you guys, Diane, that you all were here. Number one, for the duration, but two, for the finished product. I am curator, visionary, proud. I yield my mic.
and then Miss Richelle was still asking one or making one more statement. So many things that I took from your story as well. Like I was just trying to get several points from each of your stories. You're fine from each of your stories, but you said another thing. You said night seasons are times when God lovingly removes all natural and comfortable support systems, replacing them with a total and unshakable trust in Him.
Yeah.
When I read that, it touched me, because how many times do we have our night seasons? How many times? Well, you said something there that says it's when He removes all natural and comfortable resources from us so that we can have this relationship solely with Him. Again, I took so many nuggets from each of your stories, ladies. I kid you not, I did. But I just tried to pull out some of the major ones that really stood out and tugged at my heart, that really just resonated with me. So can you just tell us a little bit and expound a little bit more about that particular statement that you wrote?
Night seasons, that's when, like you said, God removes those natural resources. That means that's the job. Job that you're going to every day, when that's gone. I was trying to find a job. I had put so many applications in at one time. I'm saying, God, and I always had a good job, 911 operator, all of that. What happened, God? He removed everything. I mean, broke me all the way down. And I remember my grandmother telling me, she said, don't put another application in anywhere. She said, God is trying to tell you something. He's showing you something, but you have to listen to Him. And I said, but Grandma, I got my mortgage to pay. I got my truck payment to pay. I got so many things I have to do. But she said, but He's taking that away. What He did, He broke me all the way down so I can look up. My help comes from the Lord. The job is not it's a source, it's a resource, but He is the source.
The source. Yes.
I want to talk to you from that aspect. When God takes it all away, all He wants us to do is say, God, where
you better
are you?
Preach in here, Richelle.
In that food stamp line, crying, God, what am I doing here? Why am I here, Father? And He sweetly told me, He said, am I not taking care of you? Am I not providing for you?
Yes, God.
My baby, me and my baby I didn't miss a mortgage payment. I didn't miss a truck payment. Every electric bill, gas bill, everything was paid. But He had to show
we all
me.
about to start shouting in here. You're going to make us run in a minute.
It's God. It's all God. All God. So the night seasons, they're purposeful. to teach us to totally depend on God.
I love that. I love that you said night season is for you to depend on God. So thank you, Miss Rochelle. I feel everything you said. And Miss Angela know I grew up in the church, so that's all I know. All I know is God, and when all I know is to pray. That's all that I know how to do. If I don't have anything else, I tell people all the time, you can take everything away from me, everything, and I'll go get it again. That's how much I trust and believe God, that
That's
He
it.
will provide everything that He's given me once. He'll give it to me again.
Yes.
So thank you for the reminder, not just to myself, but to so many women, and not even women, to men as well, the men that are listening too. I know the women wrote in this book, and I know there are some men out there, whether it be your husbands or brothers or whomever, pastors, whomever are out there in social media world that are listening to us. We thank you for your support. But man, this is for you as well. The stories that these women are telling, you can pull something from these stories as well. So Miss Richelle, thank you again. I appreciate you so much.
Yes.
And next on, we're going to go to Miss Lady Serena. Is that who I have next?
All right.
How you doing
Hello,
today, Miss
hello,
Lady
hello.
Serena?
Doing well.
Wonderful. So I loved your story because you, my dear, you say from the streets of Uptown to the pulpit. And what I loved about your story was, unlike most of us, you didn't come from a church upbringing or a church background. So
That's
your
right.
story really intrigues me because you come from something that we didn't come from, where we have this natural reaction because we've been taught to pray and trust God, or we have people in our ear, our pastors, our ministers, our moms, our grandparents, whomever, or we have a church circle. You didn't have that. So with you riding from the streets of Uptown to the pulpit, and I have some excerpts that I pulled from yours as well. Just expound on your title for me for a moment, so that the people in TV land or Facebook land or social media land can understand a little bit about your story.
So for me, not having the church background, I met my husband who was born and reared in the church. Um, not knowing anything, he was already there. You know what I'm saying? So when I got with my husband and we began to date, and once we got married, then we went to the church. And then I was excited about being in the church. And before I knew it, he was being ordained as pastor, going in, not knowing anything. So I felt like a kindergartner, amen, somebody. I
Mm.
started from the bottom and worked my way up. But I knew God called me to be his helpmeet. And so once I began to learn, that's how we got to the place where I'm at today. So that street girl to the church girl.
I love that. I love the fact that you didn't have the background that most of us, not all of us, that most of us had, but yet this is for the people out there who don't go to church or haven't been in a long time. This is for you. This is to let you know that God loves us all. Whether you were born in church, whether you were raised in church, whether you generations in church, he loves us all. And he can use you just like he can use Miss Lady Serena. He used her husband. They're now ordained ministers. Is that correct? Did I read that properly, Miss
That is
Serena?
correct. Yep, that is
Okay.
correct.
And you say in your story, and again, another little excerpt, you say you are one of the few women. Oh, no, that's what I put. I said, God will prepare you for things that you didn't know you were training for. And I say that because sometimes we're going through the motions and we don't know why we're going through. We don't know why these hurdles are being placed in our midst. But when we look back, we realize that, okay, God, you were literally training me. When you wrote that, what were you thinking? Because that stood out to me more than anything. A lot of the things in your story stood out to me, but that really stood out because, okay, God, this is training. What you training me for?
Oh, yeah.
Me too, Tamara. Just so y'all know, I landed on that too. Go ahead, baby.
So for me, my husband and I, first of all, let me just give a slight background. We combined two families. He had 4 children and I had 3. And so in doing that, the ministry started at home. And so we started at the dining room table training the kids, right? Not knowing what was coming next. not knowing that God was about to elevate him, not knowing that God was calling him. Well, he'd always had a calling, but not knowing that that was going to be next. So when we got to that place, I looked like around like, okay, so now what I'm supposed to do? You know? And so you're trained as a woman to be a caretaker regardless of the fact. So I got that part, but it did not equal up with ministry. You have people that are there with you now, and you have these different personalities, and it was like, okay, help, somebody help me, hello, help. And so I thank God for my husband, because I learned how to submit to him.
I love that.
Oh, come on, somebody.
I
Listen,
love that.
because if you from the streets, you running things. And then now I had to sit back and listen to what it was that he was saying. And I had to be okay with what he was saying. But in the streets, I've always had that authority to do as I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, and how I wanted to do it. Now we have people that God has called to our ministry, and I had to follow what my husband said. And I had to submit in a lot of different areas.
And I love what you said about submit. And let me clarify this again for
Come
all those
on.
out there in TV world. Men, we do not mind submitting to our husbands, provided that you are giving us a reason to submit. Okay,
Absolutely.
you cannot.
Say that again.
We will submit to Boaz.
Come
We
on
won't
now.
submit to just yo. Okay, so just so for clarity, we will
Come on,
submit to
let's get an
Boaz, but
understanding.
we will not
Yes,
submit to just yo.
yes,
Excuse
let's
my
get an
French, but let's keep
understanding.
it real here. Okay,
Yes,
so with that being
yes,
said, Miss Serena, thank you, because again, women, we don't have a problem. Am I correct, ladies? Is
that's
everybody on
right.
here in agreement that we don't mind being
100%.
submissive when
Yeah,
it's the proper person to be submissive to?
too.
Matter of
That's
fact, hell, we'll submit and then pray while we're submitting, and cover you in the midst of it. So we don't
right.
have a problem, men. For those that keep saying, "Oh, no," we don't have a problem. We have a problem submitting to the right person.
That's correct.
So thank you, Miss Serena. I'm grateful that you found the heart, and God placed it on in your spirit to follow this man, and this man has led you to where you are now. Both of you are ordained ministers. You blended a family together. So with that being said, God bless you, and thank you for your story, because it was very uplifting. And again, it'll bless somebody else who did not come from a church upbringing. Read her story. She'll tell you how she did it.
Tamara, can I also add that,
Yes.
of course, I met Serena, but also she's never been a person who likes the limelight. She's always been hungry. The Bible talks about he that hungers and thirsts after righteousness will be filled. But I'm telling y'all, this woman of God is so humble. But when I tell y'all she got some fight, see, what makes us think that God just, hey, when I'm out there in them streets, come on here, God knows how to save that hole in me. Come on here, so that the devil don't punk me at all. But that little sister right there, don't y'all get fooled here. She my girl. She my girl pal. Don't get fooled. Serena will stand with you all the way. Can I go there for 20 seconds, and then I'm gonna give my mic back to you tomorrow. Tomorrow, when I tell you,
Yes.
you making your whole godmama, your real godmama proud tonight, because you just said something. You said we don't mind, and some of y'all, look, we don't mind submitting to the man who's following after God. I'm not. Let me make this declaration. I'm not submitting to no brothers who not following God. Okay, that right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and drop them. I'm not submitting to any man who is not following God. As a matter of fact, it ain't even
Agree.
scriptorial. Did y'all hear what I just said? And what is submission anyway? If y'all go Good Girl Rich Life, she interviewed me about, we'll get to it in a minute. But I talked about how I think the church has cheated women about the word submission. First of all, submission never was about subservience, or it never was about him controlling
Being
you.
subservient,
Submission means
correct.
I honor you, I respect you, and I consider you. I'm yielding my mic.
And Miss Angela, you are absolutely correct. When you have the correct definition of what submissive means and what the Bible actually meant. But men don't know that if you haven't been taught in the biblical world, because they take the dictionary, the Webster dictionary version, and they think that's what it's supposed to be. No, I take the biblical version of submission, and that's where my submissiveness comes from, because I can say I will submit to you in God. I can do that, but I'm not just going to be subservient to you just because. No, we're not doing that. But thank you, Miss Lady Serena, because you have shed light on a lot for us today. Next up, I'm going to go to Miss Ebony Stigall. Stigall? Did I say it right? Your mic. Can you?
Ebony Stigall.
Stigall, Ebony, like Steven Seagal, but Stigall, Ebony Stigall.
With a T, yes, Stigall, yes.
Stigall. Okay, yes, I appreciate you, my dear. Thank you for being so patient. You have been listening and taking it in. I see you, giving us the little snaps and enjoying this podcast and this girl talk that we're having. Thank you so much for being here. Miss Ebony.
I'm enjoying it. Yes.
You write, walking through the storm with grace. Now, ladies, we all know this story all too well. We've all had our own storms. We've all endured some things, whether we've talked about them or not. And for the most part, looking at you ladies, all of you guys have come out of everything looking graceful. So, Miss Ebony, please expound on your title. And again, I have some excerpts from you as well. But let me start with this, because this you were the one that I got a little excited about, because you said, I didn't want to be the bigger person or take the high road. I wanted to expose them and make them pay. Now you talking about, that's my language.
I'll my title. So I'm very. I like to let people, be who they be. But I also, for me, like I want to be able to move through life or deal with situations or conflict or whatever happens without it being this big thing. Like, it doesn't always have to be dramatic. It doesn't always have to be explosive. Like, we can move through things without blowing up. And so I feel like that's just like, even when I have a conflict with a friend or, someone who's no longer my friend, it doesn't have to be something that's exposed, or it doesn't have to be this whole dramatic thing. I really think, like, we have to learn to give grace and receive grace, because we're all going to be on the receiving or the giving end of a storm or trauma or things that happen, but you have to give what you want to receive. So in that, I try to make sure that I'm not popping off, and it's not always easy. It's not. And I know I kind of talk about this a little bit, but my mama, I love her so much. My mom is probably one of the biggest. Everybody know my mom. My mom is Mama Marilyn, and she do what she do. She gonna be everybody's mama. But when I was young, I always like I loved how she handled things. I just always be like, whoo. Man, every time we doing something, my mama she just doing it. She like, how can I be just to get it done? But not, and let's be clear, that is no diss to who my mom is, because that's Absolutely. Who she is. She's the fire. She's the storm. She's the come through. But I'm on the other side doing it my way, making the same thing happen just my way. And I walk through that. I try my best to walk through that in every aspect, until there's sometimes where I'm like, really, Lord, you got me in this, and I can't get loud. I can't jap off. I can't go back, because that's not who I am. I can't be somebody else. I got to be who I am, who He made me.
I'm smiling and laughing at you tell your story about your mom, because Angela knows my mom all too well, and my mom is the same way. My mother is. She will pray the heavens. She will pray to the heavens open up. But my mother will let you have it from here to there. But I love her with everything in me, because she's a no nonsense kind of woman. So I understand exactly. So reading your story helped me understand, okay, I'm not the only one that feel like it don't take we ain't got to do all of that. But as I'm getting older, I find myself sometimes acting more and more like my mom. And I'm like, okay, Tamara, let's bring it down. Not just Mama, I love you, because I know you out there listening somewhere. So let me be clear. Tammy Accarelli, I love you with everything in me. Don't take it the wrong way. But on the same token, I find myself trying to find the peace and trying to keep it calm and try not to lose my head. And like you said, handle it with grace, which I don't always do because I don't always know how to do that. But I'm grateful that you wrote about it because, again, women, it's so much on our plates, and then one little thing comes and we like, and it does not have to necessarily be like that, but we have to get to a place to learn about grace and understand grace and ask for grace, So thank you for your story as well. You also say, you speak about the times you did make people pay and how you couldn't control your rage.
So I think I that's probably another thing. Like, I remember being in those spaces, like, and even now, you go through something and people like, oh, she's soft, or I can get over her. No, what you don't understand is God has me in a place where I'm talking through him and he walking me through this every step of the way. Because if he let me off this chain, or if I walk in my flesh and come off the chain, it's a wrap. I might not come back. Like, I might see black and not know exactly what happened, and then after it happens, I'm so mad at myself, or I'm down on myself for what I did or what I said, because that's not who I am. So I think people have to realize that we all got our stuff that we're going on, and you may have something going on that day, but you don't know what I have going on. So if you keep pushing my button, I am trying my best to control myself and to give you grace, but also understand that there are times, because we are human, there are times when the lid comes off the cup, the tea kettle is spewing, it's pew pew, the fire, the water's boiling, and
yes,
let the thing settle. So I definitely, like, when those stories were coming up and I was thinking about, like, I to this day feel really bad about the times where I did come off, let my cup come off the top. Like, it just wasn't who I was. And those are people that honestly we love, that we have relationship with, and you don't want to hurt somebody that you love or that you deal with. And so it makes it even more disheartening that you even went to that place. So that is why I try my best to stay in the graceful lane. It's not always easy. I bite my tongue a lot. But through those situations that I talk about in the book, I never, and I'm getting choked up, I never uncovered those people, even though I had every right to. Like, I never showed or exposed who they were, because at the end of the day, God will take care of all of that. Like, he's got us. He will expose who those people are. He will make it in such a way where you don't have to fight the battle. You don't have to scream from the rooftop, I'm right, or I didn't do it. You don't have to do any of that, because it'll come full circle and he'll take care of you. So definitely.
Well, I appreciate you, because your chapter is one of the ones that spoke. All of you did, again, but your chapter really spoke, because Angela will tell you, when I'm passionate about something, there's this fire inside of me, and I sometimes I get here, but it's not because I'm angry. It's just I have this passion and this fire in me, and I need to learn how to control it more. So when you talk about grace and walking through the storm with grace, I've got to still learn that portion. So thank you for that, because I'm still growing in that area of my life. I'm still learning how to not want to expose people. I'm still learning how not to want to get back at them, and learning to say, you know what, God, you've told me many times that it's not my battle, it's yours. And I have got to get there. So thank you for your story. You encouraged me. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you.
I got two more people. Angela, of course, will be last but not least, which leaves me to Who did I miss?
Evangelist Lesean.
Lesean Wallace.
You know what, ladies? I apologize because I can't see. Okay, there we go. Lesean, there we are. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm peaceful.
Very good. Oh, I like that word. I'm peaceful. I love that. Okay, so Miss Lesean, you're right. Taking the hit and holding on. So in your chapter, you put, well, I wrote this one down because you put St. Luke chapter 16 sheds light on God's desire for us to manage our finances wisely, which, okay, we're going to talk about these finances. We done talked about infertility. We done talked about rage. We done talked about, from the streets to the pool. We done talked about so many things. So each of you had something to bring. Yours I took was about a lot of things, but finances for me stood out the most in your chapter. And it says this, and this really hit home for me. God will not give you what you ask for, but what you can manage. So please talk to us about where your headspace was and what you were thinking when you wrote this. Because to me, this was important to me as well.
So good evening, ladies, and thank you, Pastor Angela and Tamara, for all of this. I have learned so much here on tonight. I really didn't have to say nothing, but I do appreciate it. And I was sitting there, I said, man, what is she going to say about my book? And I went on, I said, I believe that's what she's going to come up with. And it is profound and it speaks volume, because in this walk of faith, as you said before, a lot of us grew up in the church. I did. Church hurt. I got married young, 22, never had been with a man. And, I was like, they told you you're going to burn and all that. So, went through the whole 9 yards. And so I recently was in my CDI class, Christian Development Institute. And our pastor presented us with a book about finances, God's way. And baby, when I tell you, when I got through that book, I just kept hollering, ouchie, Louie, ouchie, Louie, ouchie, Louie. I was like, oh, Lord, this why my money ain't right. This why my stuff ain't right. So we accept God. So I started out in my book, in my chapter, talking about a lot of things. And it say taking the hit. And where we really take a hit as single women, single moms, I heard all that. I'm sorry about my babies, they making a little noise. Is in our finances. And when I found out that God has a plan for our finances, I was like, Lord, I've been doing this wrong all the time. And I wanted to share that because the Bible is a roadmap and everything we need is in it. And, we'll believe God for the right hand, but we'll be like, know about this left hand. But we have to believe God for both hands. Absolutely. Not only for the marriage, not only for our bodies, but he has a plan for our finances. And I found it to work. We don't, you hear the saying says, you either plan to succeed or you plan to fail. And in this chapter, I found out that God wants us to be good stewards. In that chapter, it talked about how God took the money back from his steward and put him out, fired him. Some of us, God done fired us because we ain't doing it right. I said, Lord, did you fire me, Lord? Jesus, you gonna fire me, Lord, because I ain't doing right with your stuff. And even with the talents, the story about the talents, there are so many segues and so many things you can get out of there. But I'm just going to tie that with this a little bit. The reason the man that had the one talent, God took it from him because he didn't do what he was supposed to do with it. He said, Father, I thought, I got scared and I just put it in the earth and I ain't do nothing with it. Sometimes we take our finances and we do the wrong thing and we don't do nothing with it. But the other two, they took and grew what they had. That means they planned, they financed, and we stopped overspending. And we learn about money. In the church, they don't teach us about money. And I found out that God wants us to know about money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With that being said, you also wrote this. You said God's provision is tailored to our ability to steward it effectively.
That part. What we don't realize is that if we study the word and know what the word said, now we got if we got the saved part, confess your sins, you're gonna go to heaven, God will forgive you. We got that. But there's so many other components. The Bible talk about the little foxes. What about the little foxes? What about the other thing? Your finances, your thoughts, like the young lady said, she came with nothing and she was willing to give God her all. What about taking him out the box and believe him for all
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
applying all so that we can have all? So I learned that, and I wanted to share that with women, because a lot of us are single, we Black, some of us have education, but when we mismanage and don't do what God say and don't do it how
Absolutely.
he say do it, he can't bless us, because the Bible say he's not a man that he should lie, nor should he repent. So if you ain't doing what he say, it ain't always the other person's fault. Check yourself. My pastor,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say this one thing that I'm gonna leave. My pastor preached a message long time ago, and I'm gonna drop this nugget, and I know you're gonna like it tomorrow. It say if the crop that you need is not growing, change the seed that you're sowing. I live by that.
If the crop that you need is not sowing, change the
No, it's
seed.
the crop that you need is not growing.
Not growing,
Growing,
change
change
the
the
seed.
seed that you're sowing.
I wrote that
Because
down.
you
Yes,
can't
ma'am.
grow, you can't plant corn and think you're gonna get apples. You can't do that. It don't go that way. If you're gonna plant corn, you're gonna get corn. If you plant apples, you're gonna get apples. Sowing and reaping. That's all it is. And I think more of us, as we progress in life, we need to know that, because we got dreams, we got visions. Bible said, write the vision. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go,
No,
but God is wanting us to do this, but we got to do the roadmap. We got to do it His way so that we can be blessed.
Miss Evangelist Lesean, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You talked about the finances, and that's a part of everything. So we have now talked about finances. We've talked about infertility. We've talked about our rage. About growing in grace. We've talked about from the streets to the pulpit. We've talked about so many things, ladies. Put those books up for me, because now, ladies, I get to interview Pastor Angela, who was I'm going to say the mind behind the book, so to speak. It was you. She helped with book number, or she created book number 1 with you, ladies, and now book number 2. I have had the privilege to know her for a very long time. I've worked in aviation with her for me, 25 years. I'm not sure how many years. It's 30 plus years for Miss Angela. But not only do I know her in the work world, I know her in the Christian world as well. And then I know her personally. So her story, when she gets ready to talk about it, I walked this journey somewhat with her, because I didn't know the full story in the beginning. So I've walked this story with her. So for me, to end with her, to end with the author, to end with the person who God gave this vision to. Thank you for the privilege today, ladies, to interview you. Thank you for allowing me to stumble over my words and to stumble over my questions, but it's been fun. I've learned so much from each of you. I've taken away so much on tonight, and I just thank you for the opportunity. We got about another 10 minutes and we're going to get out of here. So last but not least, it is my absolute pleasure to interview, last but not least, Miss Angela, Pastor Angela Smith. Come on in the room, Mama. Come on in the room.
I'm in here.
Okay, so you write, and again, like I said, I walked this journey with you. I'm alive, I survived. This is a slogan that we've said together so many times. God is gone. God, you wrote that, and that is one of my favorite things. God is gone. God, I don't care what nobody say. I believe in the depths of my spirit that God is gone. God. So with that being said, Miss Angela, please take the mic. You got these last 8 to 10 minutes, my dear. It's all you.
Mm. You know, God has been so faithful, because at the end of the day, I was thinking about what I was going to say when you got to me. And this has been weeks ago when we decided that One Sister to Another podcast was going to take on the helms of doing the exclusive on Gone Girl Volume 2. You don't know with me, the 15 women that wrote with me. I believe that your stories are prudent, and that your stories are resilient, and they are important, and that you, the woman, what God is making you up to be even now, you are prudent. But also realize that May 15th of 2022, the Lord tells me May 2021, you're going to start a group called Gone Girl, All Women Empowerment. Let me drop these four names. They're not here today, but Melissa Walls, Latanya Birch, Lisa Freeney, and also Robin, 6 names. Robin, myself, and also Tanya Reedy. We're the founders of Gone Girls. Listen to this. And so we wrote the book, Gone Girl, 31 Day Mass of Devotional, which was a book that was written, y'all. A lot of you all don't know, but 23 women wrote, 21 women only lasted because 2 of our women ended up passing. One of the women died from the cancer that God delivered her from, and it hurt all of us. One of the sisters, brother stabbed her son, his uncle stabbed his nephew, and he's gone, and we're devastated. But then from all of that devastation, my then husband, a pastor, comes home and says, I don't want to be married no more, and I got to go through it. And I'm like, God, are you for real right about now? I'm saying to myself right in the office that it all started in, y'all. I said, God, I am not getting ready to do this. I'm not getting ready to tell these women that I'm going through no devastating divorce, because if I do, they're going to be weeping, crying, all this stuff. I'm not going to be able to write, And the Lord tells me, let them come in, and you need to share with them what really happened in this regard. Share with them that you're vulnerable right now. Share with them that you're hurting right now. This is the first book. So now while I'm writing the first book and all of this happens, now we end that book. That book launches May 15, 2022. And then God says to me, you're not done. And I say, God, you punking me again, right? But now you all, I am now hurting to my whole core, hurting. So of course, Tamara gets to hang out with all of this, and some of you others get to be with all this. But it was important to me not to let everybody know everything that was going on. But somebody says, Cursor, yeah, but you did, when you would walk, let's chit, let's chat, let's walk, let's pray, which was born out of my hurt, y'all. Yeah, people would be on the outskirts saying, but you are out there telling. No, I told Sister Ebony what I wanted them to know. I talked about what I wanted you to know. And from that came, I'm alive. I survived. The first title was Say You Can, Say You Can't. Either way you right. And I've been preaching that thing. Do y'all hear me? God is going to make sure those of us who are standing out there saying we're his preachers, we're his teachers, we're this, we're that. Look, we're his graceful chicks. We got all these names, but y'all know what? When push come to shove, and you get to sing the tune and know we're failing, because what we do is we're crunching up, we're falling up. Listen, I'm like some of the women who have been out on this stage today, and this is what I'm saying about it, and that is that I get to live my own truth. I get to share with people what I believe through and share with women and men. I'm alive. I survived because I decided not to die in it. I decided not to give up.
I walked pretty much this entire journey. I wasn't there from the beginning, but I know you. I know that you're a strong woman of God. I know that you stand headstrong in your faith. In your thing you wrote, I'm one of the strongest women I know, yet even now I shatter at the thought of my own realization. Tell us what you were thinking at when you wrote that particular statement, that sentence. What was going on? Because to Angela, I tell you, like my mom. I don't know a stronger woman than my mother. So right next to her, and Michelle Obama, because I love Michelle Obama too. You women, you carry yourselves in a way that is profound to me. You have this love for God that you have instilled in me, and I'm about to get teary-eyed, but I'm grateful for the women in my life who stand strong, resilient, triumphant, even now.
I tell you, when I wrote that line, first of all, y'all, I couldn't even believe all that. I sat in the beauty shop and wrote my chapter because I was like, I'm under pressure. I got all of them right and they're all finished and I'm not finished. As a matter of fact, God, I don't want to finish this. I don't want to do it. I wish this book would just go away. And then God told me, but if you don't write, you're a fraud. If you don't write, some women who really need to write are going to lose their footing. Angela, when I wrote that liner, I was dying on my inside. I was dying inside. And I almost felt like, God, I cannot believe you're letting this happen to me. Wait a minute now. Rob and I was the ones who, when women would go through their challenges in their marriages, we were the one that encouraged women, don't divorce. Go out there, look, get the counseling. But then he didn't want the counseling. Or go out there, make sure. And then I'm facing this thing head on. And y'all, when I tell y'all, I didn't cuss him out. I didn't cuss God out. But I promise you, me and God had me and the devil had a struggle, but I won. No, me and God was fighting. Baby, he won. When I tell y'all, God, I told God I'm not preaching anymore.
Yeah,
I am not going to speak well of marriages anymore. God, I am done because you allowed this thing to fail. How could you allow me? God, what did I do? This is what I was saying to God in the kitchen. What did I do so bad that you had to let my marriage fail? God, I honored this man. What are we doing here? And I said I would not speak well of marriages anymore. I'm done preaching, God, but I'm going to live saved. And God let me go to sleep and look, and in my sleep, he put me in the headlock. And he said, oh, let me tell you, he said, let me share something with you. If you're not going to do what I called you to do, and first of all, I said in the book of Psalms, now if it ain't in words, you don't have to believe it. He says in the book of Psalms, he said, put not your faith in flesh because it'll fail. Did I exclude your husband? Isn't he a man? I said, put not your faith in flesh, right? But then y'all, let's hurry on past all that. And then the word of the Lord came from a prophet. I never will forget it. And I wasn't looking for no prophet that day because when I went to church that day, the lunchroom had cabbage and sweet potatoes. I was getting my eat on, and the prophet sensed for me. He's from Africa, him and his wife. He looks at me and says, God is going to explain to you later the why. But know this, everything that you thought you could get done, I just released you to do it. I want you to get, he told me to get busy. Can I tell y'all something? For all of you all women out there, and I want y'all to hear this, women and men who think, I can be alone. You a lie and the devil ain't even in you. Because the Bible says it's not good for man to be. That's why sometimes y'all end up doing some stuff. You know you should getting babies. You know you really don't want to get pregnant. You want the baby. But yeah, because loneliness will take us there. Y'all, I've had to talk to God a lot in this season. Go ahead, Tamara.
Again, everything you said, I've walked with you and I love you for everything that you've endured. And I love the way that you never stopped. You kept going. You didn't give up. I know it was hard days. I couldn't imagine that being married for 27 years and then all of a sudden my husband comes home and says, I'm done. That would devastate me. I'm going to say this last little statement and then my job is going to be done for tonight. I'm going to turn you over to Angela. She will close us out. You say this thing, and this is where I'm going to end with this. It says, I'm not the same. I become so much better versus bitter. And with that, my dear, you have done exactly that. You have become so much better. I don't see bitterness in you. I don't hear you speak ill of Rob. I don't see you speak ill of marriages. Even when I was going through, you were still trying to minister to me and help me. So with that being said, my dear, thank you, because you're better versus bitter.
Wow. Today, this is how I start off every podcast, y'all. And Tamara is our executive producer sitting in the hot seat tonight. And I've always told her she should be my Gone Girl of One Sister to Another. And I think tonight she understands it a little bit better. about how this thing should go. But the first line I give y'all every time I open up the show is, today is a gift from God. And what you do today is your gift back to him. I have been blessed beyond measure. I am not going to let y'all tear up no more. I'm not tearing up no more. I'm done. I believe that every single woman, Ebony, Lady Serena, my millionaire, of course, sister Jennifer Houston, who never stops. Diane, if we didn't have the glue of prayer, what would we do? Richelle, that power, that fire, Evangelist, Wallace, Lesean, Evangelist, Bobbie. If we didn't have you guys, what would we do? What could we do? Tamara, of course, Trailer is on the background, y'all. Fire. Jakari, Big J. What would we do without folks like y'all who believe in what it is we do? Can I tell y'all something? I grabbed Tamara years ago and said, I believe you can make One Sister to Another podcast look like it makes sense. Did y'all hear me? So in this thing called life, look, surviving means I am vulnerable enough to say to the Tamaras of the world and to every last Gone Girl, to the 15 women who wrote the authors. Some of you all are 2-time authors. Some of you all, this is your first time, but I promise you, y'all fooled me. I'm telling you all, I was able to say to you guys, I need you. I need you to hold my hand. And guess what y'all let me do? Y'all let me fuss, and I'm still fussing. Because now the work begins. Let me tell you all this before we go. You can get the book, y'all. Yes. You can get the book. Guess what? You can get the book. You can get a signed copy of the book. All you got to do is DM either one of these authors, and you can get a signed copy of the book. You can get the book. Listen, we're not giving no action to Amazon. I need you to get the book from Arthur. I need you to send for your book. Send for a signed copy of the book. But more than that, guess what? You're going to get a chance to meet every author. 15 authors wrote the book with me. You're going to get a chance to meet them when? March the 8th. March the 8th, you're going to get a chance to meet the authors of the book. March 8th, 5151 West Madison Street, right at Zoe Life Rec Center. Y'all, they redid it. So I'm telling y'all, it's jazzy snazzy. Zoe Life Rec Center. You're going to get a chance to actually come and meet the authors. Y'all know what? More than that, and then we really going to be done. We will come to your church. But we need y'all to give us a little time, okay? If you give us about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll try to bring as many Gone Girls as we can to your church. We would love to come and do some pop-ups. We would love to come to Atlanta. We would love to come to Benton Harbor. Y'all know I'm going to Benton Harbor. We would love to go all over and really promote this book. Why? Because this book is saving grace. Gone Girl, Volume 2, an anthology for and by amazing women. Listen at this. My time is up. You got anything else tomorrow?
Yes. Before we go, ladies, again, thank you so much. Gone Girls Volume 2. If you would like for them to be to do a pop-up at your church, at your event, you can email us at onesister2anotherpr@gmail.com. I will get that information over to them. You can also email Pastor Angela. You can reach out to us on Facebook. And going across the bottom of the screen right now is Gone Girl Volume 2 book signing, March 8th, 2025, from 12 to 4, 5151 West Madison. For those that live in the Chicagoland area or in the Illinois area, you decide you want to come and meet these amazing women, please do get your signed copies and put the money into the pockets of these women, not into the major publications or major stores and things that are selling the book for them. We want that too. For those of you who are in various states, please order the book. Is it from Amazon, Angela?
Yeah, well, they're going to order the book from us, and the book is only $20 and $5 media shipping, USPS. $20 will be the book, and then $5 for your shipping. Can I throw in too? Tomorrow, somebody going to be turning 60 that same day. Actually, 2 days before, we're going to be having a party that day. So if you stick around.
That's you.
That's right. Boot up jeans and things. I'm going to be turning 60. I thank y'all so much. Tamara, thank you. Jakari, thank you. Trayla. Thank you, Trayla. Big kiss.
Ladies, it has been my pleasure. Thank you. On that note, it has been a pleasure. One sister to another
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank
Thank you from the
you.
bottom of our hearts, ladies. Congratulations
Thank
on the
you.
job well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you,
See
guys.
y'all next time.
Be peaceful. Amen.